everybody, welcome back to Crochet by Landry. So this week I thought we'd take a minute and I would talk about the things that I found that made my life a little bit easier when doing markets. So just going to be a few things, let's say maybe top 5 that I found that made my life a little bit easier doing markets this year. And grab a cup of coffee, grab something to work on, and we can work on market stuff while we're having a chit chat. Let's talk about the first thing that I found was that made my life a little bit easier doing markets this year. So if you're signing up for craft markets, first thing you're going to want to do is decide, what are you making? Are you making dishcloths? Are you making, kitchen apparel? Are you making household items, blankets, winter gear? There's an endless slew of different things you could be making and different styles of things. I crochet, so that's my thing. But what's your thing? So figure out what your thing or what your niche would be, and then go from there. And then, so what I discovered is making stuffed animals and plushies is my niche, where I belong. So that's what works for me. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't work for you, then find what you're good at. I'm sure there's something out there. So that's one thing I suggest, is finding what you want to make and stick with it. I found out very early on that I was making all sorts of different things. I was making dishcloths, and I was making hats and scarves, and I was making toys as well. But one thing that really stood out when I started doing markets last year was people didn't really want the hats and stuff. They kept gravitating towards the toys. So I stopped making other things, and I kind of concentrated more on perfecting making plushies. So that's what works for me, but whatever works for you is great as well. Okay, so the second thing you're going to want to do is, now that you've discovered what you want to make and what you really love or enjoy making, you're going to want to discover markets. So I found a bunch of markets through some of the local artisan companies and groups that where I live. Some people have local groups that specifically do markets every year. That's how I found it. You can also find them through Facebook, even just typing in your Google search bar craft markets, and then whatever area you live in, add the area, and who knows, they may pop up, and you may have a local group in your area that organizes markets and stuff. So I found some through Facebook. I found some through a local artisan group that I am affiliated with. And then some of them they've discovered me through my Instagram and my Facebook as well. So that's another way to go when you're looking for markets, and also figuring out what type of market it is. So there are a few different kinds. So you've got your outdoor markets, which is like your farmer's market type thing. So there's those ones. There's also other markets. The big one I did recently was kind of like a festival type deal. That was really great for me because there were lots of families, there were lots of kids and stuff that really liked plushies. So that was where I belonged. So you may want to figure out if that's what you're looking for. I'm sure you can find something in the area you live in. If not, keep looking, they're out there somewhere. But yeah, so that's what works for me. What doesn't work for me may not work for you. But finding markets through Facebook, through Instagram, through your regular search bar or search engine is all in many ways, or even just walking around your town and seeing if they put up signs and stuff for vendors. Who knows? You may get lucky. So now that you've found markets, what do you need to get started? So most markets, if they're outside, you need a tent of some kind. Most likely the standard size is 10 by 10. And I'll leave a link in the description box of where I got mine. I got it off Amazon, and it's a 10 by 10 tent, and I think it's through a company called ABC Canopy, if I'm correct, but don't quote me on that. I'll put a link down below. You're gonna need some sort of tent. Figure out what size you're allowed to have, and then go from there. Maybe a table or two. I use 2 6-foot tables that I got at Costco. But you can get tables anywhere, really. If you may have a folding table in your house, you can use those. And then you're going to need some sort of tablecloth. Now, you don't have to buy the spandex fancy tablecloth. You can just either make your own or use something from around your house if you're looking to just kind of start getting into markets, not kind of go full blown. And another thing is display items to have, depending on what you're making, have things elevated off the table so it looks more appealing to the customer coming in. Not just having everything flat and then they walk in and they don't see, you know. So if you're depending on what you're making, you may want to have some little risers or some baskets or bins, or if you're making jewelry, a jewelry stand so people can see the different types of jewelry that you have. All sorts of different things. And you don't have to go and buy the expensive stuff. Most of the risers and the stands I use, I either got my husband to help me make them, or I found them at my local dollar stores, to be honest with you. I just found them at the local dollar stores, and they work great for what I need, and it helps attract customers and all that stuff. So keep that in mind when you're looking for display items for your markets or for your tent and stuff. So that's one thing you can do. Once you found market, now you can start working on display items. And another thing you want to start working on now that you found a market is stock. So whether you crochet or make jewelry or you draw or you paint, you can start building your stock and start building things to sell and having all of that stuff, that wonderful stuff for everybody to enjoy and look at. And making sure you have enough stock. That way you have enough to replace once you've sold something. I'm not saying go crazy, but have enough that you can replenish once you've sold something. So now that you've gotten your stuff and you're ready to go to the market, how do you get it there? So what I found was easier is I kind of roped my husband into doing these with me. One, it's an extra person to have there, so you can have someone go get you some water or a snack, or just watch your tent in case you have to go to the bathroom. So I kind of roped my husband into doing it when I need him to be there. And he helps get all the stuff from the house to the vehicle. We use our car, and it fits pretty well. And I found that using plastic bags, like big Ziploc bags, works for me because it's easier to squish the stuff into the car when you feel like you've got no space left, and it fits better than using big plastic Rubbermaid containers. Now again, I make plushies, so everything I make is a little bit more fluffy and squishable, so that's fine. But depending on what you make, containers may work best for you to keep things either flat or organized. I use plastic bags, so you can use whatever you feel is best for you. I got the plastic bags I'm talking about. I just got them at the Dollar Tree. They think they're in the cleaning section, and they just look like oversized Ziploc bags with a handle, and they're fantastic for putting in stuffed animals or plushies or even any kind of handmade item, to be honest with you. And then we get everything in the car, and he helps me with the wagon. We get everything to our spot where the market will be. And we also use a foldable wagon to get things from the car to the market once we get there. So it makes it a little bit easier and for carrying purposes. So we're not killing ourselves carrying all of the stuff out to the market to set up. And he helps me set up the tent, and he helps me tear things down and put things away, watches the spot when I have to go to the bathroom or go get a snack. So it does help to bring an extra person with you. Even if you're doing it for the first time, may make you feel a bit more comfortable if you have another person there with you to kind of keep you company and stuff like that. And also another thing is you could bring things to work on. Depending on what your craft is, bring something to work on while you're sitting there. Some people love to watch you sit there and make something when they're trying to figure out, do I want to buy that thing that they're making? So it kind of intrigues them going, okay, they do actually make the things that they sell. So that's another thing that you could be thinking about when doing markets and all that stuff. And last thing, before we jump into some market prep, is taking payments. So I recommend getting a square. It's a little thing that you can use to take debit and Visa transaction or credit card transactions. I found, in my personal opinion, that it makes it so much easier and I don't lose out on a sale if I have my square with me. Because if you can only take cash, then it may, because not everybody carries cash anymore. So having a square means, hey, they take debit, they take credit card. There's more of a chance of you getting a sale if you have it. I do recommend getting one. I bought mine off Amazon. I'll put a link down below where I bought it. And that may help you in deciding whether or not you would like to get one for your markets, if you're going to be doing markets every year. But I do recommend getting a square. They are fantastic. It's so much easier when I go to a market. And I do have some cash on me, like change and whatnot, if people pay in cash. So I have both. It's not a, I do carry both cash and I bring my square with me. So that way I have options. And if you don't take square, then, you can always do Interact. You can do e-transfer if that works for you, or just take cash. It's up to you. Your preference, but I do recommend square for those who are doing markets more seriously in the future. And that's it for today, everybody. I'm going to kind of jump into some market prep for the next one I've got coming up in September. Kind of make a few extra fun things, maybe some new things, who knows. But don't forget to leave me a comment down below if there's anything you'd like to see in the future, either for videos or stuff you'd like to see me make. Leave a comment and I'll try and get to it for my next video or my next market. Other than that, subscribe, hit that like button and the notification bell, and I will see you next week for when we do another piece to our calendar blanket. Bye, everybody.